Open your wallet right now. Look at the paper bills, the plastic credit cards, or the digital numbers glowing on your banking app. We are entirely consumed by the concept of money. We use it to measure success, security, and power. But if you strip away the digital networks, the gold standard, the printing presses, and the ancient bronze coins of Rome, you are left with a terrifying evolutionary question. How did humans survive for hundreds of thousands of years before money existed? How did a prehistoric hunter, living in a brutal, freezing ice age environment, guarantee that he would have food tomorrow? The answer is one of the darkest, most fascinating biological secrets of our species. Before silver, before gold, and before barter as we understand it, the very first currency ever traded by human beings was literally blood, flesh, and bone. Today, we are going to travel back to the dawn of human civilization to uncover the brutal, visceral origins of money, and discover the invisible ledger that is still operating inside your brain right now. And if you are fascinated by the hidden, ancient survival software dictating your modern life, you need to hit that subscribe button right now. We decode the darkest evolutionary secrets of human history every single week, and you will not want to miss the mysteries we uncover next. To understand the prehistoric economy, you have to completely erase the modern concept of wealth. In the brutal world of the Pleistocene epoch, hoarding physical items was essentially a death sentence. Early humans were nomadic. They constantly moved to follow migrating herds and escape devastating winters. Anything you owned, you had to carry on your back. If you possessed too many animal skins, too many heavy flint tools, or too much raw material, you became slow. And in the prehistoric world, slow meant dead. Therefore, true wealth could not be a physical object that you carried. It had to be something else entirely. Let's imagine a Paleolithic hunting party. They have been tracking a massive woolly rhinoceros for 3 days. It is a highly dangerous, exhausting gamble. Anthropological studies show that early human hunters had an incredibly high failure rate. Up to 80% of large hunts ended in absolute failure, meaning starvation was a constant, looming shadow over the tribe. But on this day, the hunters succeed. They bring down an enormous beast yielding hundreds of pounds of meat. Now, they face a massive, lethal problem. They have no refrigerators. They have no salt to cure the meat. Within a matter of days, this mountain of calories will rot, attracting rival predators and deadly bacteria. The hunters cannot possibly eat all of it before it spoils, and they cannot carry it with them. So, what do they do with this sudden, massive surplus of wealth? They do something brilliant, calculated, and entirely necessary for the survival of the human race. They store the excess meat inside the stomachs of their neighbors. They invite the rest of the tribe, and even neighboring bands of humans, to share in the feast. They hand out the most calorie-dense, valuable parts of the animal, the blood-rich organs, the thick slabs of muscle, and the heavy bones filled with nutrient-dense marrow. But this is not an act of pure, selfless charity. Evolution is ruthless, and nothing is truly free. When that hunter hands a cracked bone dripping with marrow to his neighbor, he is making a deposit. He is creating a biological debt. The neighbor consumes the blood and bone, and in doing so, accepts a silent, unbreakable contract. The next time that neighbor makes a kill, and our original hunter is starving, the debt must be repaid. The first currency ever traded by humanity was raw calories, paid in literal blood and bone. This system is known in evolutionary biology as reciprocal altruism. It is the absolute foundation of human society. But for this blood-based economy to actually work, the human brain had to undergo a massive, complex upgrade. If you hand your valuable food to a neighbor, and that neighbor simply eats it and never repays you, you will starve. Evolution had to find a way to track the debts. This is where the human neocortex, the advanced outer layer of your brain, exploded in size and complexity. Our brains literally evolved to become sophisticated biological accounting ledgers. We developed an incredibly sharp memory for faces, and more importantly, a specialized cognitive module designed entirely for cheater detection. Our ancestors needed to remember exactly who shared their mammoth meat 3 months ago, and exactly who hid in their cave and refused to share when times were tough. If uncovering the brilliant and brutal biological algorithms running inside your own mind is changing how you see humanity, take 1 second to subscribe to the channel. Our tribe is exploring the psychological ghosts of our past every week, and we want you surviving the journey with us. To enforce this invisible blood economy, human beings invented the first credit score, gossip. Long before we had credit bureaus tracking our financial reliability, we had the campfire. Language likely evolved, in large part, to share complex social information about who was paying their debts and who was defaulting. If a member of the tribe consistently took the blood and bone marrow from others but never shared their own kills, the gossip network would flag them as a biological cheater. Their credit score would drop to 0. And the penalty for a 0 credit score in the Stone Age was not a high interest rate. It was exile. The tribe would simply stop sharing with them, forcing them out into the freezing wilderness alone. And exile in the prehistoric world was a guaranteed death sentence. For tens of thousands of years, this invisible ledger of blood, marrow, and shared survival was the only currency humanity needed. But as human tribes began to grow larger, a new problem emerged. When a tribe consists of 50 people, your brain can easily remember who owes who. But when a tribe grows to 150, or when multiple tribes begin to interact and trade across vast distances, the biological ledger in your brain gets overloaded. You cannot remember the faces and the blood debts of strangers. Humanity desperately needed a way to pull the invisible debt out of the mind and turn it into a physical object. This transition marks one of the most terrifying and brilliant leaps in human history. To represent the ancient debts of blood and bone, early humans literally used blood and bone. Archaeologists have discovered some of the oldest mathematical tools ever created, such as the Lebombo bone, found in the mountains of southern Africa, dating back over 40,000 years. It is a baboon fibula deeply carved with 29 distinct notches. Shortly after, we see the emergence of the Ishango bone. These were not just counting tools. Many anthropologists believe these carved bones were the first physical ledgers, tally sticks used to record debts, trades, and obligations. They were the very first physical receipts. But humans needed a smaller, more tradable representation of this debt. They needed the first physical coin. To represent the life-saving value of blood and shared meat, ancient humans began trading perforated sea shells, animal teeth, and pieces of ostrich eggshells. But they did not just trade them raw. They meticulously painted these early currencies with red ochre. Red ochre is a natural clay pigment that perfectly mimics the deep, vibrant color of human and animal blood. By painting their earliest physical currencies in the color of blood, they were symbolically linking this new physical money to the ancient, visceral system of survival. The red-stained shells and carved bones meant, I owe you my life. I owe you blood. As centuries turned into millennia, human societies expanded into massive empires. We traded the red-stained shells and carved bones for shiny pieces of stamped metal. We traded the metal for paper notes backed by gold. And today, we trade the paper for invisible digital numbers beamed through satellites. The abstraction of money has become so complete, so entirely disconnected from nature, that we have completely forgotten what it originally stood for. We look at billionaires and massive bank accounts and think of money as an arbitrary game of numbers. But your ancient brain still remembers the truth. The anxiety you feel when your bank account is low, the deep, visceral panic of financial insecurity, is not a modern neurosis. It is your ancient amygdala screaming at you that you do not have enough stored calories, that your blood debts are unpaid, and that you are in danger of being exiled to starve in the cold. Money has never just been about economics. It is a biological survival mechanism. It is the direct descendant of a desperately starving hunter, holding a shattered bone dripping with marrow, and handing it to his neighbor so that both of them might live to see the sunrise. Thank you for walking through the dark, brutal history of human survival with us today. If this video completely changed how you view the money in your pocket and the ancient software in your brain, prove it by hitting the subscribe button and leaving a like. We are decoding the raw, evolutionary truths that history tried to bury every single week, and we want you right here in the tribe. Until next time, respect your history, remember your debts, and never forget that everything we have today was paid for in blood.